The red dust of Mars swirled around Dr. Elena Santos as she carefully brushed away centuries of sediment from what appeared to be a metallic panel. The archaeological dig had been routine until now, just another expedition searching for signs of early Mars colonization attempts. But this was different. The metal shouldn't be here, and it certainly shouldn't look this pristine after centuries of exposure to the harsh Martian environment. "Dr. Santos, you need to see this," called out her research assistant, Marcus Chen, from several meters away. His voice crackled through the comm system of their environmental suits. Elena carefully marked her position and made her way over to where Marcus stood, his handheld scanner pointed at the ground. "These readings don't make any sense," Marcus said, showing her the device's display. "There's an energy signature coming from about 30 meters below us. It's like nothing I've ever seen before." Elena frowned behind her helmet visor. The scanner's readings showed power levels that shouldn't be possible, especially not from something buried in the Martian soil. "Alert the base," she instructed. "We need a full team out here immediately." Within hours, the quiet archaeological site had transformed into a hive of activity. Survey drones buzzed overhead, mapping the underground structure that was slowly being revealed. What they found defied explanation. A vast complex stretching for kilometers beneath the Martian surface, its architecture unlike anything in humanity's known history. As the excavation teams worked to create a safe entrance, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Not by anything physical, but by automated systems that had laid dormant for centuries, waiting for the right moment to reawaken. The first team to enter the facility included Elena, Marcus, and 3 security officers from the Mars Colonial Defense Force. Their footsteps echoed through corridors that hadn't heard sound in hundreds of years. The air was stale but breathable. The environmental systems were somehow still functioning after all this time. "This shouldn't be possible," Elena muttered as they passed row after row of what appeared to be storage units, each larger than a standard dropship. According to all our historical records, humanity never built anything like this on Mars. We never had the capability. "Maybe that's what they wanted us to think," Marcus suggested, his voice unusually quiet in the vast space. As they ventured deeper into the facility, holographic displays suddenly flickered to life around them, responding to their presence. Characters in an unknown script scrolled across the screens, then shifted into modern standard English. "Defense Initiative Protocol Alpha activated. Genetic profile confirmed. Human. Security clearance granted. Warning. Level 1 alert status in effect. Threat detection systems engage." The security officers raised their weapons instinctively, but there was no immediate danger, only more systems coming online around them, awakening from their long slumber. "Dr. Santos," called out Captain Sarah Hayes, the lead security officer. "You need to see this." They had reached what appeared to be a control center. As Elena approached the main console, a holographic display materialized before her, showing a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. Hundreds of points of light pulsed with an angry red glow. Unknown vessels detected in multiple sectors. The facility's AI announced in a calm, almost clinical voice. "Threat analysis indicates 99.8% probability of coordinated invasion force. Extended analysis suggests target Earth and all human-occupied worlds. Time to earliest projected engagement, 72 hours. Elena's blood ran cold as the implications sank in. This wasn't just an archaeological discovery, it was a warning. And as she watched more systems coming online throughout the facility, she realized it was also humanity's best hope for survival. "Marcus," she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Contact Earth Command immediately. Tell them we found something. Something that changes everything." The facility hummed with increasing power as more systems activated. In the massive chambers they had passed earlier, the storage units began to open, revealing row after row of advanced weaponry and vehicles unlike anything humanity currently possessed. This wasn't just a defensive installation. It was an arsenal, deliberately hidden and preserved for a moment exactly like this. As Elena watched the facility coming to life around them, she couldn't help but wonder who had built this, when, and more importantly, why had they known humanity would need it now? The answer came in the form of another holographic message, this one appearing directly before her. To the inheritors of Earth, if you are reading this, the threat we prepared for has finally arrived. Everything in this facility, all of our most advanced weapons and technology, is now yours. Use it well. Humanity must survive. Humanity must prevail. Elena looked at the date stamp on the message. It had been recorded over 500 years ago, by a version of humanity far more advanced than their own. A version that had seen this moment coming and had prepared for it, hiding their true capabilities until they would be needed most. Now, as alien warships approached from the depths of space, that moment had finally arrived. Humanity's forgotten legacy was awakening, and the galaxy was about to discover why Earth's children had survived against all odds for so long. The real question was, would it be enough? The emergency meeting of Earth's Defense Council was unlike anything in recent memory. Representatives from every major colony and settlement sat in stunned silence as they watched the holographic feed from Mars. Dr. Elena Santos stood virtually before them, her image flickering slightly as she gestured to the massive underground chamber behind her. The facility contains what appears to be a complete military arsenal, she explained, her voice tight with urgency. But these aren't just weapons, they're beyond anything we currently possess. The technological gap between our current capabilities and what we found here is astronomical. Admiral Chen, the head of Earth's Defense Force, leaned forward in his chair. And you're certain about the threat assessment? 72 hours until first contact. The facility's eye is emphatic, Elena replied. The invasion force is real, and it's coming. But there's more. She paused, taking a deep breath. The facility is just one of many. According to its database, there are similar installations hidden throughout the solar system. All of them were built by our ancestors, who achieved technological capabilities far beyond what our history records show. The council chamber erupted in murmurs of disbelief and concern. Humanity had always considered itself relatively new to advanced space travel. The idea that they had once possessed technology this advanced, only to lose it and hide it away, was staggering. The activation sequence has already begun, Elena continued. The facility's systems are linking up with others across Mars and beyond, but we need people to operate them. The AI can handle basic functions, but it needs human pilots, human strategists, human warriors. Admiral Chen nodded grimly. How many personnel do you need? All of them, Elena replied without hesitation. Every trained pilot, every tactical officer, every combat-ready soldier. And we need them here now. The facility's training systems can update their skills for the new technology, but we're working against the clock. As if to emphasize her point, a new alert flashed across the holographic display. The AI's calm voice filled both the facility on Mars and the council chamber on Earth. Warning: enemy fleet has accelerated. New estimated time to engagement: 48 hours. The council's decision was unanimous and immediate. Within hours, transport ships from every human settlement were converging on Mars, carrying the best and brightest of humanity's military forces. As they arrived, the facility guided them to training chambers where neural interfaces updated their combat knowledge with centuries of advanced tactical data. Elena watched from the control center as the first wave of pilots interfaced with their new vessels. The ships themselves were unlike anything she had ever seen, sleek, deadly, and powered by technology that seemed to bend the laws of physics themselves. The pilots' expressions as they emerged from their first neural training sessions were a mixture of awe and determination. It's not just the technology, Marcus said, standing beside her. It's the knowledge that comes with it. Every pilot who connects to these systems, they're not just learning to operate advanced weapons. They're remembering them on some deep genetic level, as if this knowledge was always part of us, just waiting to be awakened. Elena nodded. The facility's AI had explained that the neural interfaces were designed to tap into humanity's collective military heritage, awakening combat instincts that had laid dormant for centuries. Each person who connected to the system became a bridge between humanity's forgotten past and its uncertain future. In the massive hangars below, row after row of ships were powering up, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly sheen. These weren't just warships. They were humanity's legacy, built by ancestors who had foreseen this moment and prepared for it with everything they had. But as Elena watched the preparations unfold, a new alert caught her attention. The AI's voice, usually so calm and measured, carried a note of concern. Unknown energy signature detected at the edge of the solar system. Analysis suggests temporal displacement. Before Elena could process what that meant, a new hologram appeared in the control center. The figure it displayed was human, wearing a uniform unlike anything in their records. When it spoke, its voice carried the weight of centuries. If you're seeing this, then our worst fears have been realized. The Nexus have returned. They're not just an alien invasion force. They're hunters of civilizations, destroyers of species. We fought them before, centuries ago, and the cost of victory was so high that we chose to hide our true power until it would be needed again. The hologram's eyes seemed to meet Elena's directly. The weapons we left you are powerful, but they're not enough on their own. You'll need to understand why we built them, why we hid them, and most importantly, why the Nexus fear humanity more than any other species they've encountered. As the message ended, new systems throughout the facility began to activate, systems that had remained dormant even after the initial discovery. The true awakening was only beginning, and with it, the revelation of humanity's greatest secrets. The next 48 hours would determine not just the fate of humanity, but whether their ancestors' sacrifice and foresight would prove enough to face an enemy that had haunted their species' nightmares for centuries. The void between Mars and Jupiter erupted with blinding light as humanity's forgotten fleet emerged from their hidden docks. Ships that had slumbered for centuries now moved with deadly grace, their crews melded with technology that responded to thought as much as action. At the heart of the formation, the flagship Memory of Earth led the way, its massive form dwarfing even the largest vessels of humanity's current fleet. Commander James Foster stood on the bridge, his neural link to the ship providing him with awareness that extended far beyond normal human perception. The neural interface wasn't just a control system, it was a bridge across time, connecting him to the combat experience of ancestors who had faced this enemy before. All battle groups report ready, his executive officer, Lieutenant Maria Vasquez, announced. Her own neural link pulsed with the combined readiness of thousands of crews, all connected through the ancient battle network. The Nexus fleet will enter Jupiter's orbit in 6 hours. James nodded, feeling the weight of command settle over him. In the past 24 hours, he and his crew had absorbed generations of combat knowledge through the neural interfaces. The memories weren't just tactical data. They were visceral experiences of battles fought against the Nexus centuries ago. They won't expect us to meet them at Jupiter, he said, his voice steady. According to the historical records, they're used to finding developing civilizations, not ones that can fight back with equal technology. We have that advantage, at least for the first engagement. The holographic display at the center of the bridge showed the approaching Nexus fleet, a vast armada of biomechanical ships that seemed to devour light itself. Their design was horrifyingly familiar from the uploaded memories. Vessels designed not just to destroy, but to harvest entire civilizations. Dr. Santos, James called out, turning to where Elena stood at one of the science stations. What have you learned about their current configuration? Elena's hands moved through the holographic data with practiced ease, despite having only hours to learn the advanced systems. Their fleet structure is almost identical to what our ancestors faced. They're creatures of pattern, of ritual. They believe their way of war is perfect, unchanging. A grim smile crossed her face. They're wrong. Across the fleet, crews worked with grim determination to prepare for the coming battle. The ships themselves seemed to hum with anticipation, their ancient weapons charging with power that had laid dormant for too long. In the fighter bays, pilots ran final checks on vessels that could outmaneuver anything humanity had built in recent centuries. New contact. Maria's voice cut through the tension. Massive temporal distortion at the edge of Jupiter's gravity well. The holographic display shifted, showing a tear in space itself. From within the rift, a single ship emerged, but its design was neither human nor Nexus. Its hull bore marks of weapons fire and battle damage. Yet it moved with deliberate purpose toward the human fleet. "We're receiving a transmission," Maria reported, surprise evident in her voice. It's using our ancestral codes." The image that appeared on the bridge showed a human face, aged and battle-worn, wearing a uniform that matched those from the historical records. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Temporal Guard," the figure announced. "We've been monitoring the time stream, waiting for this moment. The Nexus must not be allowed to alter the course of human history again." James felt his neural link pulse with recognition. The tactical database identifying Admiral Chen as a key figure from humanity's hidden past. "Admiral," he acknowledged, "we've reactivated the ancestral fleet, but we're still learning its capabilities." "Then let me help you understand what you truly have," Sarah replied. "These ships, this technology, it's not just advanced weaponry. It's the culmination of humanity's greatest achievement, the ability to learn, to adapt, to take the best of our enemy's strength and turn it against them." As she spoke, new data flowed through the neural network, showing the true nature of humanity's forgotten fleet. Each ship was more than a weapon. It was a testament to human ingenuity, designed to evolve during combat, to learn and adapt even as the enemy's patterns remained fixed and unchanging. "The Nexus believe they are the perfect hunters," Sarah continued, her voice carrying the weight of personal experience. "But humanity's greatest strength has always been our imperfection, our need to change, to grow, to become more than we were. These ships are the physical embodiment of that trait." Across the fleet, crews absorbed this new understanding through their neural links. The ships weren't just responding to their commands. They were learning from them, becoming more than the sum of their parts. Multiple contacts. Maria's voice cut through the moment. "The Nexus fleet is accelerating. They've detected us." James straightened in his command chair, feeling the ship's systems surge in response to his heightened alertness. "All ships, battle formations," he ordered. "Admiral Chen, will you join us?" "We'll take position on your flank," Sarah replied. "Remember, Commander, the Nexus aren't here just to destroy us. They're here because they fear what humanity might become. Let's show them their fears were justified." As the human fleet moved to engage, the ships began to change, their forms shifting subtly as combat systems came fully online. The time for preparation was over. Humanity's greatest battle was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. The space around Jupiter erupted in a symphony of destruction as humanity's resurrected fleet engaged the Nexus Armada. The gas giant's swirling storms provided a backdrop for a battle that would reshape the understanding of both sides. Commander Foster watched as the first wave of Nexus ships launched their attack, their biomechanical forms writhing through space like ancient sea creatures. But humanity was ready. The ancestral fleet's adaptive shields absorbed the initial barrage, learning and evolving with each impact. Energy patterns analyzed, the ship's AI announced, implementing countermeasures. Through his neural link, James felt the ship changing beneath him, its very structure shifting to better resist the Nexus weapons. Across the fleet, other vessels were doing the same, each one becoming stronger, more efficient, more deadly with every passing moment. Multiple Nexus vessels changing formation, Maria reported, her hands dancing through holographic tactical displays. "They're adapting their strategy." Admiral Chen's voice came through the command network. "They're falling into their old patterns. Just like before, they'll try to overwhelm us with numbers. But watch this. Her temporal ship suddenly accelerated, its advanced drives creating ripples in spacetime itself. As the Nexus fleet moved to engage, they found themselves firing at where humanity's ships had been microseconds ago, their perfect formations disrupted by weapons that struck from multiple temporal angles simultaneously. Now, James ordered, all ships execute pattern Omega. The human fleet responded as one, their ships moving in ways that should have been impossible. The neural interfaces allowed crews to react with inhuman speed and precision, while the ships themselves continued to evolve, each becoming more effective at countering Nexus tactics. Alina's voice cut through the tactical chatter. "Commander, I'm detecting something strange. The Nexus ships, they're trying to communicate with each other, but their signals are degrading. It's as if our presence is somehow interfering with their collective consciousness." James felt a surge of understanding through his neural link. That's it. The adaptive technology. It's not just changing our ships, it's affecting them too. We're disrupting their ability to function as a hive mind. The battle shifted as this realization spread through the human fleet. Ships began targeting Nexus communication nodes, their weapons precisely calibrated to create maximum disruption. The massive alien vessels, once moving with perfect coordination, began to show signs of confusion and disorder. But the Nexus were far from defeated. A massive ship at the center of their fleet suddenly began to pulse with energy, its form twisting into something even more nightmarish. "They're bringing in their world breaker," Admiral Chen warned, "just like they did at Proxima Centauri 3 centuries ago." The world breaker unleashed a beam of pure destructive force, capable of tearing apart planets. But as it approached the human fleet, something unprecedented happened. The memory of Earth and its surrounding ships began to resonate with the same energy frequency, their adaptive systems working in concert to turn the weapon's power back on itself. "By all the stars," Alina breathed, watching the energy readings. "The ships aren't just adapting anymore. They're synthesizing. They're combining their abilities in ways even their original designers couldn't have predicted." The battle space became a cascade of light and energy as human and Nexus technology clashed on levels that defied conventional physics. Ships phased in and out of normal spacetime. Weapons fire curved around gravitational lenses, and reality itself seemed to bend under the strain of forces being unleashed. Through it all, humanity's greatest strength proved to be exactly what Admiral Chen had described: their ability to adapt, to change, to become something new. Each ship, each crew member, was learning and evolving, while the Nexus remained bound by their rigid patterns and beliefs. "They're retreating," Maria announced as the world breaker, its hull now scared and damaged, began to pull back. Other Nexus ships followed, their once perfect formation now ragged and broken. But James and Admiral Chen exchanged knowing looks through their command link. This wasn't over. It was merely the first phase of a larger battle. The Nexus would return, and when they did, they would bring everything they had. The question was, how much more could humanity's ships evolve before then? "All ships maintain battle readiness," James ordered. This was just their advance force. The real test is still coming. Alina's voice carried a note of wonder as she studied the battle data. "Commander, you need to see this. The adaptive systems, they're not just learning from the battle. They're learning from us. The neural links, they're becoming something more than just an interface. It's as if the ships are beginning to understand what it truly means to be human." As if to confirm her words, the fleet's ships continued to change, their forms becoming more organic, more fluid, yet somehow more powerful. They were no longer just machines awakened from ancient slumber. They were becoming a true fusion of human consciousness and advanced technology. The next wave of Nexus ships would face something unprecedented, a force that combined humanity's limitless potential for growth with technology that could match and exceed their own. The galaxy was about to witness the true power of human adaptation, and not even time itself would stand in their way. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath as the Nexus returned. This time, they'd brought not just an armada, but an entire fleet of world breakers, massive ships that could tear apart solar systems. The void between Jupiter and Mars filled with their biomechanical forms, a swarm of planet-killing vessels that blocked out the distant sun. But humanity was ready. In the hours since the first battle, their ships had continued to evolve. The memory of Earth no longer looked anything like its original form. Through the neural link, Commander Foster could feel how the vessel had become something entirely new, a perfect synthesis of human consciousness and advanced technology. They'd brought their entire species, Admiral Chen announced, her temporal ship's sensors detecting the true scale of the Nexus force. Every world breaker, every hunter-killer, every ship they've ever built. They mean to end this here and now. Belena's voice carried a note of triumph as she reported from her station. But that's exactly what we wanted. They've committed everything to this attack. They've left themselves no escape route. Through the fleet-wide neural network, James could feel the readiness of his crews. They were no longer just pilots and warriors learning to use advanced technology. They had become something more. The ships had evolved with them, creating a force that the Nexus couldn't possibly have anticipated. All ships, James commanded, his consciousness extending through the entire fleet. Execute final protocol. The human fleet began to move, but not as individual vessels. They flowed like liquid metal, ships merging and separating in patterns that defied conventional physics. The adaptive technology had reached its ultimate expression, a perfect union of human intuition and machine precision. The Nexus struck first, their world breakers firing in unison. Space itself screamed as planet-killing beams lanced toward the human fleet. But instead of trying to dodge or absorb the attack, humanity's ships did something impossible. They embraced it. Energy absorption at maximum, Elena reported, her voice filled with wonder. The ships, they're not just adapting to the weapons. They're transcending them. The world breakers' energy beams were caught in a web of human technology, twisted and redirected through dimensional spaces that shouldn't have existed. Each ship in the human fleet had become a node in a vast network, sharing power, sharing consciousness, sharing purpose. Admiral Chen's temporal ship moved through the battle like a dancer, leaving trails of distorted spacetime in its wake. Now you understand, she broadcast to both fleets. This is why we hid our technology. Not because we feared its power, but because we needed the Nexus to think they had the advantage. We needed them to commit everything. The Nexus fleet's perfect formation began to break as they faced something beyond their comprehension. Their hive mind, once their greatest strength, became their weakness as confusion and fear spread through their collective consciousness. Through his neural link, James felt the final piece click into place. The ships weren't just weapons or tools. They were the physical manifestation of humanity's greatest strength, the ability to face the impossible and become something new. All ships, he commanded, initiate Transcendence Protocol. The human fleet moved as one, their forms merging into a vast lattice of energy and consciousness. The neural network expanded, connecting not just the crews but reaching back through time itself, drawing on the strength and experience of every human who had ever faced the darkness between stars. The Nexus world breakers fired again, but this time their weapons had no effect. The human fleet had become something they couldn't understand, a force that existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions that could turn their own power against them. They're trying to retreat, Maria reported, but her voice held no triumph. Everyone knew it was too late for the Nexus. They had committed their entire species to this battle, believing they faced a primitive civilization. Instead, they had awakened something far greater. The lattice of human ships pulsed once, a single coordinated action that rippled through space-time itself. In that moment, every world breaker, every Nexus vessel, found their weapons, their drives, their very essence transformed. The adaptive technology had reached across the void and changed them at their most fundamental level. The vast Nexus fleet hung motionless in space, their biomechanical forms now transmuted into something new. They were no longer a threat, no longer hunters of civilizations. They had become a testament to humanity's power, not to destroy, but to transform. "It's done," Admiral Chen announced softly. "The temporal loop is closed." This was always how it ended, not with destruction, but with change. As the human fleet began to separate back into individual ships, James felt the neural link pulse with understanding. The technology they had awakened wasn't just a weapon or a defense. It was a bridge to humanity's next evolution. They had faced their greatest enemy, and instead of destroying them, they had transformed them into something new. Belena's voice carried a note of awe as she studied the readings. "The Nexus, they're not dead. They're changing." The adaptive technology didn't just stop them. It's giving them the one thing they never had: the ability to evolve. The stars seemed to shine brighter as the battle ended. Humanity had not just survived. They had proven themselves to be something far greater than anyone, even their own ancestors, had imagined. They had taken the power to destroy worlds and turned it into the power to change them. As the memory of Earth turned back toward Mars, James felt a deep certainty through the neural link. This wasn't the end of humanity's journey. It was just the beginning. They had reclaimed their legacy, and in doing so had become something new, something that would reshape the galaxy not through force, but through the power of change itself. The ancient weapons had served their purpose, but they had become something far greater: tools of transformation, bridges to a future where even the most terrible enemies could become something new. Humanity had proven itself not just worthy of its inheritance, but capable of transcending it. The age of hunters and prey was over. The age of transformation had begun.